today. And first from Google is Torsten Schupp. He is the Director of Brand and Consumer Marketing for EMEA. And from AKQA, Group Creative Director Ian Wharton.
Hey.
And Executive Creative Director Dwan Evans.
Hi there.
And I'm also from AKQA, Head of Emerging Technologies. I'm Andy Hood. Hello, welcome, and thanks for being here, all of you. But now, to the most important people on this Hangout, our two amazing schools. And first, from Stockholm, and 2014 School of the Year is the Berg School of Communication. Hello, Stockholm.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thanks, welcome, thanks for being here. And from Hamburg, and winner of multiple School of the Year awards, is the Miami Ad School. Hello, Hamburg.
Hi there. Greetings from Hamburg.
Great, all good. So, welcome and thanks for joining us, everybody. And we're also looking forward to answering all the questions that you've been tweeting us using our Ask Future Lions hashtag. Get that one right. And we'll be coming to those a little bit later on. And now, before we get stuck into our Q&A, a little reminder of what our brief was for this year. We've challenged you to connect the audience of your choosing to a product or service from a global brand in a way that was not possible 3 years ago. Now, we're very open on the rules in terms of media and technology, and we have no specifics around product or service or target audience. So with that in mind, let's go straight to our Q&A, and let's go straight to Berg in Stockholm for our first question.
Hi, Andy. My name is Jacob. I study graphic design, first year. And as you said, you have a criteria that the solution should be done in a way that was impossible 3 years ago. And me and my group were thinking, what's most important, visionary thinking or feasibility?
Good question. Visionary thinking or feasibility? Ian, if you're going to answer for that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think ultimately you have to walk a fine line between both. That's what makes this difficult. But for me, I guess I want to see an idea that's not based on precedent, so not something that we know is going to work. I think my overall advice is to not allow your creativity to be policed by rationality or by logic. So there's generally two ideas that you can have. One is based on logic and etiquette, and you know will work, and there's one that might be completely illogical, irrational, but also probably the one that's going to surface innovation. So I definitely want thinking that way, but also it needs to be grounded in some reality. It just needs the possibility of success, because that's what we're collectively accountable for when we speak to our clients, and that's what I'd love to see from Future Lions entries.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, and I think Ian's covered it really well there, and it is a great question because it's the same with every challenge and every brief that we receive, you know, in this industry. Is we want to push things forward, we want to move things past kind of theoretical ideas, using a vision and, you know, creating products, services, or whatever it may be that actually connects the brand to the consumer in an amazing, compelling way. And sometimes that may not have a rational side to it. It may not seem to make sense. But if you have that vision idea to work towards, and you can kind of assemble the right team to be thorough through the kind of application of that, I think we can reach some really exciting work. And that's the challenge for you guys, and that's the challenge for us when we work on these sort of projects, how to kind of follow a vision that we believe is good with intuition, and then apply that to the real world, and, you know, hopefully create some compelling body out there.
Torsten, would you add to that?
Yeah, I would think they really need to be ideas that are both viable and fresh. And when I was doing the judging last year, I remember I was looking at one idea and thought, I have seen this somewhere, I have seen it somewhere, Googled it as I would, and I found 2 or 3 things that were very similar on Kickstarter right there. And I think that's something the team could have done themselves and then have moved on to the next idea, because that wouldn't have fulfilled the fresh criteria. And likewise, I think a lot of the presentations were too implicit about what was new about them and why they would work. So I think a really good presentation of the idea would include a little bit about that. We think it's new because it wasn't possible because, and here's why we think it would only work right now. And then you don't have to wander there as a judge, but it's presented to you like that.
Great, some good thoughts there. I hope that's provided some food for thought for you there, Jacob, and answered the question for you. We're going to stay in Stockholm. We have a question from Marie.
Yes, hi, guys.
Hello.
My name is Marie, and I'm a copywriter. So my question is, when you come up with that great idea, you obviously wanted to grab people's attention. And I'm wondering, when you have that amazing idea, how do you make it stand out? Like, how do you go from Kelly Rowland's or Michelle Williams to like Beyonce idea?
Awesome. You look like you've got an answer for this one.
Big Beyonce fan.
Yes, huge Beyonce fan. There we go. As Cannes, after all, you know, it's a huge competition for ideas and for also big shows on stage. So you want to give it some thought about how your presentation becomes memorable. And again, thinking back about judging last time, I don't think I've engaged simply with PDF files, of which there were quite a few, as much as I have with videos or mock-up of websites. I think anything that goes beyond the telling about it, but showing about the idea, so show instead of tell, that works. So it could be a prototype you take a video of, or a prototype of a website you make. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a good question, because I think it's another challenge that we face every day, and there's many ways you can approach it. Now, I guess every year there's the expected format, and people have submitting PDFs in the past, so I'm not writing that off. But I think if there's a chance to kind of even present in a different way and think about the story, you know, really from the user's end, but also trying to think about it in a different way. And it's almost a challenge to you guys to how can you package your ideas differently. That's not just a website with a case study video, because I think it's something that the whole industry kind of falls into that safe area. And I can't wait to see a link to judge a piece of work, and it's like, wow, that's an interesting story. So we're ready to be surprised.
Great, thanks very much. I hope that's helped, Marie. Good questions there from Berg. We're now actually going to move over to Hamburg and get a couple of questions here from the Miami Ad School. Sudarshan, are you there?
Hi there. Hello, guys. So my question, to introduce myself, I'm Sudarshan. I'm from Miami Ad School, Hamburg. I'm doing the art direction program. I was just wondering, how important is it to have a connection to a global brand? Can something completely new, a product or something that we have devised which doesn't have any existing brand affiliations, will that work, and how much? Because I feel like it is going away from the brief, but it is still that there is no affiliation to it. What are your thoughts about it?
That's an interesting question, because of course we do reference global brand in the brief. Ian?
Yeah, no, it's really good. So my question is, my response is that the global brand part of it is probably not the most expected or implicit bit of it. We've had entries that have won for representing Google. We've had entries that have won representing a flower shop for something for Facebook. So it's not really a question of that. The most important thing for me is whatever brand you pick, I want to see an absolute understanding of and the context of the audience that brand is trying to talk to. So it's understanding their behavior. Why do they do things the way they do? What is their intent to interact with your brand? Why are they going to care? And that's the most important thing. So whatever brand you choose, small, global, local, whatever, it's a razor sharp insight to the audience they're talking to and how you act on that. And you can do it that's in a way that's completely equal in success to both the brand and the audience. And I guess that's my criteria.
Go on, would you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of always seemed attractive to work for a global brand and take one of the big 10, 20 brands and think that's the easy way out. But I think, again, to surprise the judges and take a brand that's maybe a bit more obscure, or that you have some connection, or you've found a brand that has a genuine problem that you can solve, that's equally as compelling. And I think to us, again, it's quite surprising to look at a flower shop entry or some smaller brand that needs help to tourism and maybe New Zealand or some part of the world. I'm sure there's some more exciting areas to actually untap bigger ideas. So it's completely over to you, but don't fall back on having to be a glamour icon brand to make a great idea.
Cool. Would you have anything to add to that one, Torsten?
Oh, I think it just helps to sharpen the thinking about, okay, how would I pitch this to this brand and company? Why is this new to that company? Have they tried something like that again? Is it maybe an iteration of something they tried again, and now it's better than what they've tried before? So I think it just adds a component, and also it can help with your viability case by saying, I could imagine this working with the brand because they uniquely already have the products to make it work. That helps with the argument.
Cool. Thanks very much. I hope that answers the question for you. Now, I see we may have a question here from the managing director of the Miami Ad School. We're all very honored. Nicholas.
Hi there. Yeah, my name is Nicholas, running the Miami Ad School Europe in Hamburg and Berlin. And one question I often get asked by students entering their works is kind of related to your briefing, which is always very up to date in terms of do something that hasn't been done 3 years ago or wasn't possible doing 3 years ago. So up to what technical detail an idea needs to be described, and does the technology already has to be 100% alive and functioning?
So I'm going to come to myself for this one. I think when you're trying to do something that's new, and it's clear there are going to be some technical hurdles that we need to overcome, and we may not have precedent for some of those. What we're not looking for, I think, is granular detail in all of the solutions that we need to apply. But what we do want to see is that those technical hurdles have been foreseen as far as possible, considered, and that there are some approaches to overcoming them. I think in any technology endeavor, when we're trying to break new ground, you could plan and plan and plan and plan, and there comes a point where you actually need to do. So really, we're not looking to get lost in the detail. Really, the idea and the vision, and we're knowing that there is a feasible approach to take. That's what I would say around that. Don't let the idea get lost in the detail. Panel, any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think my other contribution to that would be it's really easy to get wound up in the tech. So if you look at the App Store, by and large, it's this unrelenting torrent of useless stuff because people have taken the tech before anything else. So while the depth in the tech is not particularly important, it's its marriage to the person we're trying to talk to and the relevance there. Because we have so much at our disposal, the temptation can be to pile it all in. And I think brevity with technology is as important as the actual concept itself.
Anything else in the panel on the subject of technical depth? Looks like we've covered this one. I think the key is that we don't want an idea that falls over at the first technical challenge that's placed in front of it. And if we've got a good approach and some good thinking as to where it goes, then we'll be very happy. Hopefully that helps your students there, Nicholas.
Thank you very much.
We're actually going to take a break from our two schools at this point, and we're going to go to answer some of the questions that have been coming into us through our Twitter hashtag, AskFutureLions. And we have a question here from @Sereni and Joe asks, hey guys, do you have any pro tips for creating an engaging case study film? Ian, case study films, your bag.
We love them.
Yeah, no. So it's a whole combination of things. So I'll pick one and let the other judges speak as well. So it comes down for me to good copywriting, whether it's titles in the thing or if it's voiceover. So there's two things. One is make it succinct, because one metric that everyone, be they clients or judges, have that's diminishing is time and attention. So make it succinct. And then the other thing is, like one of my main things about copywriting or trying to get a point across is that good copywriting is about rhythm. So if it doesn't feel natural to say, you're gonna stumble, will get distracted, you'll miss a beat in trying to convey the idea. So yeah, they're my two things. So make it succinct and make it like a rhythm that you want to listen to and you want to pay attention to and get involved in.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not the best to answer this because I've made some truly shocking case films in my time, and I think there's a lot of people that can attest to that. But the one thing I always try and do is make sure there's a strong story. Obviously, that goes without saying, but also to try and avoid the cliches. Don't look on the using turns of phrase that are cliche. Don't use references and visual things that are kind of you've seen before 1,000 times. I guess the idea has to be strong, but the way you tell the story has to be equally unique. And don't rely on kind of making it too tragic. I think a lot of the time we've seen a lot of case study films over the years that feel like they're playing to the sentimental side, which is good because there should obviously be the human emotion. But I think make sure it feels also, you know, slightly alive and has a reverence and has fun to it. I guess that's as important to engage a judge and tell a story. Obviously, it's all relative to the subject matter, but in general, I think there could be a bit more life and fun in the case study films as opposed to trying to play on the human emotion so often.
We're talking a lot about films here. Does it have to be a film to get the idea across?
The question was around case study films, was it not?
It was around case films. Does it have to be a case study?
I had just had another idea to offer up on films, if it was still a film, which is that might not be your expertise. So maybe there's somebody else in your school or around you who you would want to ask for help, or go to a YouTube creator or some of those guys that already have explored and have fun with doing short films, because it is a bit of a special art form, right? Picking the right music, having some equipment that helps you do it, and it's difficult to just do for the first time, and you don't want your project ruined just because that's your least strong discipline.
Yeah, and it does not have to be a film. The brief is clear on that. You can submit a PDF, you can submit a slide share. If that's the way you want to get your story across, then that's cool.
Cool. Some good tips there. Hopefully that helps for you, Joe. Our next Twitter question on the Ask Future Alliance hashtag comes from @Zhao Dear judges, what is the most important? The idea, the story, or the format? And Torsten, I will come to you first.
Difficult one, right? It needs to be kind of the bullseye between that. We've discussed format quite a bit. We probably would say that's not the most important one. Well, I think there's something else. It's the idea, it's novelty, but also saying like, okay, how many people do you actually reach with it? Which sometimes it can be so niche or so, yes, it's a cool idea, but it's for a group of 20 people in the world. If you also have a case about saying how you actually bring it to the market, how many people you would reach to it, how you start doing that, I think that adds extra punch to it.
Would you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, yeah, there's a triangle of those three things, but I always veer towards, you know, the idea to me has got to be king. I think we kind of could be forgiving on the way that the story's told if the idea is so compelling and strong and, you know, surprising, and it hits us and think that's a brilliant idea. Pity about the way they've realized it. Pity about that. For me, I'd be more forgiving on judging an idea based on that value alone. The rest, you know, maybe there's a second shot at trying to retell the story, but for me, if you've got a thought and an insight and an execution that's absolutely magical, I'd kind of make sure that really is magic.
Okay, well, I hope that helps you. We have a question here from @Lucy Melville, who is at Bath University in England. Hello, Lucy. My question is for Andy. I'll do my best. What do you look for in a winning Future Lions idea? Well, for me, the main thing that I want to see is originality. I think it's very easy, even subconsciously, to repackage something that you've seen before. So I'm looking for something which is truly original, a new idea and a new approach. And then thoroughness, really. Has it been explored from lots of different angles, basically, to see which direction we can take this in the future? Because we're also looking at scale. How does this move along in the future to become a bigger idea and service more people and do more things? So scale and originality are the things that I would really look for in a winning Future Lions idea. What would you look for in a winning idea, Ian?
So I completely agree with you. My other thing would be, I'll come back to the context thing. Does it understand human behavior? Because it's all well and good having a great idea for a product or a service. Why is anyone going to want to use it? How are they going to find out about it? Learning why and how people do things the way they do, I think, even comes above the content that you're trying to sell them or trying to get them to use. So just that absolute understanding of human behavior would be key for me.
Okay, great. Well, Lucy, I hope that helps you in coming up with a winning idea. We have another question from @GBOH, and he asks, how big should we go? This sounds like some short answers coming our way. How big would she go? Torsten?
Huge.
Huge is the answer.
So honestly, when you said how big should we go, I think that's oftentimes a question in Google we debate. And there's this funny shortcut answer that Larry has. I'm not sure if it's as helpful here, but he's saying we have this toothbrush test, that any product we develop at Google should ideally be used by millions of people, at least once a day, ideally twice a day. So that gives you a good challenge to really think big about the ideas, and why not? So back to what I was saying earlier, why stop at a niche when you could have an idea that really pushes it out further?
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, any advance on huge?
Massive.
Massive?
Yeah.
Can I add more words?
Add another word in there.
All right, like I agree. So, but I actually don't think there's a wrong answer. It's because don't underestimate the impact you can have if you target one small group of people. You could pick anything, the aging population, and you could create a service for them that wouldn't affect me really in any way. But my God, the impact it could have to a lot of people's lives. So I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Okay, great. Well, I hope that answered this one. We've got a very important question here for anyone who's watching who is not actually at a creative school, from @Mo Zhang, who is not at a creative school and wants to know, can you still enter Future Lions?
Absolutely, yes, no, of course. So if you're not at a creative school, by all means, jump in. Our rules only say that you needn't be in full-time employment in this industry. So if you're not full-time employed within the industry, you can absolutely enter, even if you're an intern. But by all means, jump on in. Don't forget you can collaborate with people from other schools, bring in other disciplines, learn from one another. But definitely, yeah, go for it.
Cool. So we have some time left, I can see. So we're going to go back to our two schools. We have time for a question from each. And we're going to start by going back to Hamburg, to the Miami Ad School. And Sudarshan, have another question for us.
Yeah. Hello, guys. I just wanted to know, in case a hypothetical scenario, who would win in a race between a simple, good solution to a major problem and a great solution to a regular issue? These are the two contenders.
That is an excellent question. A simple solution to a huge problem, or a huge solution to a regular problem. Both would be awesome. I think we're not. Be a score draw, I think, is probably the answer there. And it really does come down to, I think, how well those things have been thought through, and how much value that we're creating, and what kind of a difference that we're making to people. The more difference I think we can make, the more value there is, the better an idea is going to come across. But this is a very subjective one. What are the views of the panel here?
I'm just going to pick up on something else. I think you answered the question right, is that another word you used there, and I don't think we've mentioned it, is the simplicity. And I think that's another thing we look for in judging, is making sure that it's not a complicated solution that is, you know, maybe it's had too much thinking, it's too blown out. I think we need to have a simplicity and sharpness as well. So that simple solution kind of territory is very, you know, that can definitely take favor over a massive, impactful thing. So I think thinking through the packaging, but also the idea, making sure you can communicate it in a simple way. It's the classic elevator pitch. Can you explain this idea to me in one sentence? Then it's, you know, more likely to be a good idea if you don't need to sit down and spend 2 hours explaining it to me. So I think simplicity is a great thing there.
Yeah, I think the other thing I'll add is it kind of goes back to the how big should we go question. So major problem or not major problem. So the only thing I don't think is a wrong answer. The thing I will add is, like any good story, at the center of a good story is conflict. So like when you watch a feature film or read a book, chances are you know how the ending is going to turn out. You know the good guy's going to win or whatever. But the resolution that lets you get there is usually unexpected. And that's the same thing I want in an idea. So I want to see the conflict, and conflict could be I want to be able to book a taxi quicker, you know, whatever. That's conflict in our world, and I just want to see a resolution to that problem in a way I wasn't expecting.
Cool. Well, thank you very much to the Miami Ad School. I hope those answers helped you to get some really good entries coming our way. We're going to go back now to Stockholm and Berg for a last question from you guys. And Jacqueline, you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. Thanks for having us. My name is Jackie. I study production management. And I was wondering, how important is cross-disciplinary actions in the entries, according to you?
Cross-disciplinary actions. So we've got two creative guys here, so I'm going to go straight to Torsten.
Well, I remember that most of the winners were always teams of at least 2 people that were picking up the prizes. I think that has something to say. I almost wanted to say that earlier when somebody was saying, can I win even if I'm not at a school? I think probably yes, but you'd still be better off probably pairing up with at least one other person so that you can bring your expertise to it together. It's just better, I think, when people challenge each other and provide different points of view. I have that so often in my own job. It's not just me, it's also the policy team, or it's also the PR team, and when the product people, we need to come together to figure something out. So
yeah, I mean, I'll chip in there. I think, you know, being in this industry for around 18 years or so, I think the best work I ever see out there, well, that's created, that actually move things forward, it has to be built in a collaborative manner, whether that's cross, you know, disciplines, cross agency, cross the collaboration between agent and client. So in terms of how you guys work, I mean, it's a natural way the world's heading, but I think if you don't collaborate, you don't bring multi-disciplines in, you're cutting out, you know, so many areas where you can kind of increase your kind of insights and increase your execution. So without a doubt, I think that the idea of collaboration and cross-discipline, it's you know, it's nothing new, but without a doubt, you know, that's where you guys should be focusing, how you structure yourself within your schools and how you're planning your future. Not working in a kind of siloed world is definitely the way to be.
Yeah, we talk a lot in the industry about great solutions being a fusion of art and science, for example, or there being a great deal of creative technology applied, bringing these two worlds together. I think the key thing is a lot of the time the more creative people, such as my colleagues on the left here, will be extremely challenging on what can be done, what they want to see done. And then from the technology angle, really coming in with great uses for technologies that they're aware of because they understand what the technology does. It's only by bringing those things together that we really get the great solutions that we see. So we tend to see the best solutions being very collaborative in that way. It's not completely necessary. You know, it could be a great idea, could come out without needing that. But I think generally the best entries tend to come from collaborative teams. So Austin, would you agree with that?
yeah, I just had another thought, which is also, I think oftentimes you work in very international groups in the ed schools, right? So to have somebody who comes from a different continent and brings a different perspective, or somebody who might be a parent and brings a different perspective to the problem, I think that adds to the thinking as well.
Brilliant. Well, that is, I think, all we have time for today. Yes, it is all we have time for today. Thank you so much to our amazing schools and the brilliant questions you asked. I hope the answers helped you on your way to being winning Future Lions entrants. And thanks to everyone around the world who joined us today for our first live Q&A, and to our panel who will be responding to questions on Twitter. Use the hashtag AskFutureLions for the next 30 minutes. A reminder that the deadline for entries is April the 15th at 1800 GMT, so don't miss that. And with that, we can't wait to see your entries. We're really looking forward to honouring this year's winners at the Cannes Lion International Festival of Creativity on Wednesday, June the 24th. So goodbye and good luck.